this evening. Thank you so much for being here this evening. We really appreciate it. Our purpose tonight is to make sure that you understand what you can or cannot do in enrollment, in particular in bridge care, and then also to give you some updates on some other things. So we're going to do this in two parts, and we are going to stop in between the two parts to have you ask questions about the first part before we move on to the second. So, the first thing we want to start with is showing you a picture of what this handy dandy guide looks like. It's a provider handbook. It is your friend. You can find a link to this on the UPK page at www.jointinitiatives.org/UPK. It is regularly updated, and the link on the UPK page takes you to the latest version of the guide. The last one was updated in July, and July 31st, I think it was. So if you are in the habit of downloading the latest one and having it on your computer or whatever, the 721 is the latest one. It does give you step-by-step instructions for every process that you need as a UPK provider. And I encourage you to always check the guide for the answers to your questions. And then if you don't find what you need, contact us. We are more than happy to help you. So we're going to start talking about direct enrollment here. And I want to start by going over some of the things that that should be at this point common sense to you, or something known to you. But if not, that's okay too. So there's several statuses that you will see in universal preschool. The first one here, the play status, is not something that we are using right now. That's really part of the matching algorithm. But matched, accepted, enrolled, and selected are the three things that you are likely to see. You will also see unenroll, and you will not see anything else other than that. So the match status is really about the fact that you have sent a match to a family and they are in match status, but they have not yet responded to you. Accepted means that the family has accepted the match and they are ready to be enrolled. And enrolled means that you have actually enrolled them. The selected status we'll talk about as we talk about these processes a little bit further. So in the handbook, you can see an overview of how direct enrollment works. This is a really pretty picture, but we're going to try to bring this alive for you tonight so that you understand exactly how this is working and can tell what each piece looks like. All of this is in the provider handbook. And these slides have been posted up on the UPK page so that you can refer back to them. It's under the Roundtable section, and they are already there. So the first thing that happens in direct enrollment is that families are choosing you as a provider, and they show up under one of your programs, or maybe more than one if you have more than one program, in selected status. And that means that they have submitted an application or they have updated their application and they have chosen you as a provider, and you can now see who has chosen you. Okay. And they are in selected status. All right. And what you're seeing here is a sample of your dashboard, if you will, when you go into your portal. So the next thing that you will see is an opportunity for you to go in and look at the student information of the kiddos who are in selected status with you. So you can see their student information, you can see their application information, you can see their application enrollment status, and when a family is no longer bolded in the selected list, it means that you've opened up that application. So you can see the new ones that have come in because they are bolded. And I'm not altogether sure that they don't say new next to them, which would make it a little bit easier for you also. So you're going to continue to see kids coming into your portal. So we still have families that are applying. They're moving into Colorado or moving between school districts or whatever. And so they're still adding in new options into their application. And so I would check this. If you have seats open, I would check this daily to make sure you don't have a new child that has come in that has potentially selected you. If you don't have seats open, I would check this every couple of days, and then we can talk about how to handle the kids that are in selected status for which you do not have seats. You also need to focus on certain things with regard to your review. Again, their names will remain in bolded status until you click on the student. Uh, refine your view. Now, the reason that this is important is if you have more than one program, you want to see the kiddos that are in selected for all of your programs, right? So you might want to, so let's say you have a full day and a half day program. So you want to filter by the full day first and see the kiddos, or in some order, and see the children that are in selected status for your full day program. And then you can go to the half day program. This is especially important if you have seats open in your half day program, but none in your full day program. You want to look at the program in which you have seats open so that you can get families invited into those seats if at all possible. Okay. There is then what happens is if you have seats available, you can actually accept the family, meaning that you're sending them a proposed match. Okay. And to the family, it looks like matched in their application. Um, and if you have no seats available, then you can decline them. And that lets them know that you don't have any gen ed seats. And you're going to use the reason that you have no gen ed seats to decline them. Okay. Um, if you send them a match, then they have 7 days to accept that match or decline it. And they can decline the match if they choose to. Um, Sometimes they do nothing, and supposedly after 7 days, that match goes away. There were some glitches with that. I'm hoping they've been fixed. But that match then goes away, and I believe at that point you don't see the child anymore in selected status because they did not respond to your invitation to match. Okay. And then there is a bunch of questions here. This is an FAQ kind of thing that certainly we can go back to these if you would like at the end of this. But again, this is in the provider handbook. So if you have questions, you can go back and take a look at these and you can see, oh, okay, that's the answer to that question. But these may come up later tonight and we can answer them at that point, but they are there. And then want you to know that a family can go in, if their application is unlocked, they can go in and withdraw an acceptance. I believe they can withdraw, but they can also withdraw choices that they've made in their application. Now, there have been some challenges with that, but mostly I think user error in terms of the family not understanding how to do that. But we're supporting families on that if they need to do that, or we're withdrawing for them if we need to. But if you see if somebody was in your selected list and then they've gone away, They have either accepted a match someplace else or they have withdrawn you as somebody that they are interested in. So just want you to know that that could happen. And if you thought you had a family that was enrolling with you and then goes away, you can always give us a call and say, could you check on this family? I'm not sure what's going on here. And we can tell you what the status is. And most of the time, we can tell you why that application or that selected status went away for you. Most of the time, we can tell you. All right, so let's all of that information and go over a summary of what providers can do for standard seats. That means gen ed seats or non-IEP seats. Okay. Families or providers can view who have chosen your programs at one of their options for UPK as one of their options, which we just talked about. You can send the family an offer or a match or accept to enroll in the program that they chose. You can enroll the child once the family has accepted the offer. If the family is still in match status and has not accepted, you cannot enroll. It has to be in accepted status before you can enroll. You can decline families who are in selected status if you do not have open seats in that particular program. You can request to have more seats opened in a program or to reduce seats in a program, and we're going to talk a little bit more about that. You can unenroll children as they drop from your program. You do not have to reach out to us to unenroll a child that you have enrolled. Okay. You can send a request to JIUPK to withdraw a child's enrollment if they did not start with you. Here's what I mean by that. This is the month and maybe a little bit into September where you may still be chasing down families that you had enrolled before August 1 or even shortly after August 1 so that you could get paid for in August. But now they didn't show up or you can't find them or something. Those particular families, unenrolling is not what we want to do. We want to withdraw. We want to be able to show that the family never started with you. So that's a withdrawal. If it actually started with you, then unenrolling is appropriate. Okay. And in fact, has to be done before they can move to another center if that's what they want to do, or something of that sort. You must unenroll. Please do not allow a child to sit in enrolled status when they are not attending with you. Eventually, the state will catch up with you and you may end up owing money back. So please do not do that. So this is a summary of what families can do for standard seats. They can withdraw and or reorder their choices in their child's application. Many families have had difficulty doing this. They have reached out to us when that has happened. But again, there's a particular place that they have to click on, and it's not exactly obvious. And so it's understandable that they have problems with that. But if they know how to do it, they can do it. They can browse providers and see if the provider has open seats and can add those choices to their application. So all of you, when you're displayed in BridgeCare, the UPK system, if you have no seats available in a particular program, it's going to say that there are no seats available. If you have limited seats available, like maybe one or two, it's going to say that. And if you have more than that available, then it's going to say seats available. It's not going to say limited seats available. Okay. So families can actually tell at this point, based on the number of seats that you have in UPK and the number of kids you have in enrolled or match status, that how many seats you have available. Match status holds up a seat for you. So you don't want that to go any longer than that week because you can't add somebody else in until that one is resolved. They can respond to a proposed match from a provider by either accepting or declining. They can reach out to us to change their address, their date of birth, their name of their child, and adjust eligibility requirement responses. They can reach out to us to withdraw their UPK application if they are moving out of state or are no longer interested in UPK. And if you are aware of that with a particular family, we would like for you to reach out to us and say, hey, I just talked to them. I unenrolled this kiddo. They attended for a couple of weeks, but now they're moving out of state. And that way, if the family does not reach out to us, we can handle that application appropriately, which means withdrawing it. So if you happen to know that a family's status has changed, we would appreciate an email letting us know. And they can also request to assist, for us to assist them in moving from one center or program to another. We've had a lot of this in the last couple of weeks. So there's things here with to do this on their own, but most people haven't figured out the steps to be able to do that yet. So for some families, it's just worthwhile to just reach out to us and let us help them. But either way works if the steps are pretty clear as to what to do and you are able to figure it out, then that's great. So let's talk about the reasons why a family can't access their UPK application. So you may be dealing with a family that maybe is moving from one center into your center or your home. And they, you say to them, okay, open up your application and add me to your application, and then we can take this from there. And the family may come back and say, I can't access my application. So here's some of the reasons why they can't do that. If the family has submitted more than one application, they are only allowed to have one in the system. And so therefore, Heather once a week goes through and looks at the duplicates, and she withdraws one of them. And the one that she withdraws, if this is the case, is the one that they did not have last year as a 3-year-old. So if they have an application and an application number as a 3-year-old, and they went in and submitted another application, she keeps the one that they had as a 3-year-old so that the state can track how many 3-year-olds enrolled in UPK the next year, and she withdraws the other one. So once that happens, the family often cannot get into their application because they're using the wrong email address to try and get in there. They have to have a second email address, or even a third or a fourth. Believe me, it happens, for them to have enrolled again, and they're not using the right email address. The family thinks that they have submitted an application when they really haven't submitted it. So they may be in progress and they didn't actually submit it. And we have a difficult time looking that up unless we have the parent's name, because the child does not show up if they have not submitted the application in most cases. But we can find it under the parent if they have started one. So if you're looking for a particular application, there are 2 pieces of information we need to help you. And if you provide them both in the same email, that makes it much easier for us. We need the correct spelling of the child's name. Please check that spell correct didn't change it for you. And then we need the correct spelling of the parent's name who did the enrollment. And then find it much more quickly that way and let you know what the status is of the application. The family mistakenly put on the application that the child has an IEP. There is very limited access to an application with an IEP. So if they answered yes to that question, there's very little that the family can do until we resolve that issue one way or another. The family is using the wrong email address to access their application. They have to use the one that they registered with. So they may be trying to get in with another email address, and it's not gonna hook up, basically. And then there have been some technical glitches. So if you're seeing a pattern of those with any of your families not being able to get in, we need the family to report it to us, and we need them. We would like screenshots so that we can send it up to the technical group in Denver, and they can hopefully fix it. So as a reminder, the family will not be able to make any changes on their application if they already are enrolled or accepted into a program, because those applications are locked. They can't touch them. So if we want to make those kinds of changes, they have to reach out to us, and then we can unlock the application and assist them with the unenrollment piece, if they're enrolled someplace else, and to try to resolve the process. But all of those applications are locked. The ones that don't have any matches and have never been enrolled anyplace are unlocked, supposedly. But if we find out that they're not, we can always unlock the application and assist. Okay. So let's talk about a couple of enrollment scenarios, direct and enroll. Scenarios. This one is from a provider perspective. It's in that program. So you reach out to the family to invite them for a tour. I would strongly suggest that you don't just send them a match without reaching out to them, because we have found that often families thought that they were signing up for one thing, and they really need that, and they don't need what they signed up for, or they can't afford the additional hours, or they didn't read the information that was on your profile and signed up for you anyway. So you can save yourself a lot of issues and not have your seats tied up with a match that the family is not going to accept, by reaching out to the family and saying, hey, I see you put me on your application. We do have an open seat, but I would love to, have you come and visit me first and make sure it's going to be a good fit. If the visit isn't what is needed, then at least ask enough questions to make absolutely sure that the family knows that what you are offering them and is interested in continuing down that path. So the tour takes place and the family is excited to enroll. The provider goes into your dashboard, which we have already showed you pictures of, and I'm sure you're all familiar with, and clicks on the child in selected status and accepts the child, i.e., sends a proposed match. The family signs into their application and accepts the match, and then the provider enrolls the child in their portal and asks the family to complete the paperwork for the center. You may want the paperwork completed first before you enroll in UPK. Either order on that one is perfectly acceptable. It is up to you. Okay? So from a family perspective, the family completes a UPK application and they select potential providers. Now, hopefully they've gone on, they've looked at your profile, they've said, oh yeah, this looks great, it's located in the right place, they're offering me the number of hours I need and want, before they put them on the application. I wish I could tell you that that actually happens in most cases, but it doesn't, which is why you should be reaching out to those families. The family may or may not reach out to the providers to request a tour. They are not told to reach out to you. So we have had some providers saying, well, I have these kids in selected, but I haven't heard from them. Well, if you have seats open, you might want to reach out to them. If the family does not reach out, but the provider notices the family in selected status, then complete the process on the previous slide, the one that we just went through. Family does reach out, the provider can conduct a tour and discuss additional tuition, etc. If the family wants to enroll, you complete that previous process. And if the family does not want to enroll, you should ask them to decline you as a provider and select other programs that meet their parameters. We can take care of it if we need to, but it is much easier if the family just goes in and declines the match or withdraws the provider. Okay. All right. So now we're going to talk for a minute about managing your wait list, and then we're going to stop and answer your questions about that first part. So there are two ways to manage your wait list. The first is you can maintain children in selected status in UPK so that you can reach out when a family drops from your program, and then you can pull one of those families off of the selected status and send them a match or call them or whatever it is you want to do there. The pros to that is it allows you easily to access prospective families that don't yet have a match. The cons are that the families may be on more than one wait list, and you may find that you really don't have prospects when you need them because they're on three different, and you may not be their first choice. And to be perfectly honest, because of course it's all about us, it confuses the JI family navigators when we are trying to figure out who doesn't have matches, because there's lots of kids sitting in selected when in fact you don't have seats. So the second method is to remove children from the selected list by declining them once you have talked with the family to determine their interest in your program. You maintain your own wait list, including their contact information, etc., and then you reach out to JI to remove any declines when you want to enroll someone. That's much easier for us because then we're not spending a bunch of time trying to and it's better for families because they know that you don't have any seats available. And you can still reach out to them and say, hey, do you want to be on my wait list? I'm going to decline you right now, but I'm going to keep you on my wait list and I'll reach back out if I have a seat, if that works for you. Okay. And then we're not chasing families and talking to them when you've already done that. They're already sitting on the wait list that they want to sit in. And we're not, chasing our tails trying to reach out to people that have their plans set in place. Okay. So, but quite honestly, either one of them is acceptable. But we would like to know if you're planning to keep your kids in selected status and your wait list because of that, we would like an email knowing that that's what you're going to do. We don't need an email if you're choosing the second choice, but if you're choosing the first choice, we would like to know so that may color how we influence how we handle the families that are sitting in selected status with you, if we know you're using selected status as your wait list. All right, so I'm going to stop sharing for a moment, and I am going to ask what questions you have about what we just went over. We have 3 or 4 other topics that we're going to get to, and another question opportunity at the end. But right now, I'm interested in what you want to know about what you just saw. And you can unmute, or you can raise your hand, or you can put it in the chat.
I had something different today.
Okay.
So because you sent us that email with the enrollment, and I thought I had everybody enrolled, and everybody said preview, that word preview, but now I had some kids suddenly saying start. So I had to go all into those kids in again, click the start button, and had to click the program they're in. And like you said, CCAP, click on it again. So go to next if you don't have that. But they all was already enrolled. So why is that start button suddenly here?
Did you put a start date in?
Yes, I did in all of them.
Okay. I don't know. I'm going to have to go back and look at yours and make sure they're all done right because I can assure you that the list for payment on September was pulled today. So, or will be pulled first thing tomorrow morning. So I'll go in and look, but if you went through and looked at all of your kids, I'm sure you're good to go.
Okay.
Other questions? Okay, before we move on, I want to make sure that you are aware of the fact that we are telling you what families can do and what you can do. But we also understand that sometimes it's a little bit overwhelming for families in particular to try and take the steps that they need to take. And it can be a little bit overwhelming for you. We are here to help you. The state's philosophy, however, is that they really want to move toward after matching algorithms for you to be able to do more of these things on your own and do them in real time so that you're not wasting time and getting kids enrolled and started. So, we're going to continue to teach you how to do this, and I'm going to continue when you ask me to do something. I'm going to continue to tell you I'm going to do it, and then I'm going to continue to tell you how you can handle it yourself. And so eventually I'm going to want to ask you on the things that you should be doing yourself to do those things, because that will put you further ahead as the state continues to build in capacity into bridge care for you to manage more of your own processes. Okay. But we are here, and don't hesitate to ask if it ends up to be an issue for you. Don't hesitate. All right. Let's go back to more fun sharing. Okay. So can you see a slide that says seat adjustments? Okay. All right. That's what we're going to talk about next. So you cannot send a match to somebody if you do not have seats open in that program. Okay. So if you want to send a match to somebody and you think you have seats open in your program, chances are you have somebody in enrolled or matched or accepted status that has left you. And you have to go in and fix that. Okay. So you have to unenroll them, or you need to send it to us to get rid of the match, or to withdraw as needed. Okay. That opens up your seat, and then you can go ahead and send the match to a new kiddo. If you send a match to a new kiddo and it comes back saying to you that you have no seats, then you either, if you think you do, then you've got kids in one of those statuses that are holding up your seats. Your other option is to send to me a request to increase your seats. And it's usually done within one business day. They're actually averaging right now a couple of hours to get it done. So it's getting done very, very quickly. So we can increase your seats. We can also decrease your seats if you don't want it shown in Bridge Care that you have any seats available. But the bottom line is we're in direct enrollment right now, so nobody can jump into your seats unless you offer them a match. No one else is putting kids into your program except for you. So unless you don't want families to even select you as an option, and because they see that there are no seats open, I would suggest that you not worry about decreasing seats so much as worrying about increasing if you want to add another child or two in. Again, completely up to you. But if you have one or two extra seats in there beyond what you really want to enroll for UPK, the good news about that is if you have like a 3-year-old drop and you have a 4-year-old that you want to bring in, you can bring them in without having to contact us to increase your seats, because you'll already have an extra seat in there. And you're managing your enrollment completely yourself at this point. Nobody is putting anybody into seats. But the way to increase or decrease seats is to send me an email. I have to have it in writing. I will not submit it without a paper trail that says that you've agreed that that's what you want to have happen. Okay, let's jump to supplemental hours now. So this is very familiar to all of you. Any of you who only have part day or half day programs, this doesn't apply to you. If you have a full day program, this does. Okay. So any family who has stated that their income is at or below 100% of the 2023 federal poverty guidelines, they are automatically eligible for 30 hours. If they have stated that their income is between 100% and 270%, then they have to have another eligibility factor to qualify for 30 hours. And here's the eligibility factor. And they are also in your provider handbook if you're interested in that. The state is going to have to relook at their multilingual piece. What is really meant by that is that the child is an English language learner, but they did not write it that way. And so some families are seeing it as, well, our home language is English and my child is proficient in English, but we've decided that our whole family is going to take Spanish lessons. Well, that's not exactly what that means. But the bottom line is the state is taking families' word for it, and the way they worded it, they're getting what they get. And so, but I do believe that they will attempt to reword that again next year, so that that is a little bit clearer. Regardless, whatever the family puts down there is what the state, because the family has to attest that what they put down there is accurate, then the state is taking their word for it. We get a supplemental hours list about every 2 weeks that updates it, but it is very easy to look at an application that is not yet on that list, who's just been recently submitted, to be able to tell whether or not that family is going to be eligible for 15 or 30 hours. It's a piece of cake. So we can tell you the state is planning to add into each one of the children's files whether what they're eligible for so that you can see that. But right now, that hasn't happened, and I would not hold my breath for at least a couple of months. So, but at some point, the intent is to put that in there so that you don't have to ask us. Right now, your only option to be absolutely sure is to ask us, unless every family who is eligible for more than 15 hours has received a cute little email. And the subject line of the email here, Colorado Universal Preschool Update, your child is eligible for additional hours of free preschool. They can show you that, and then you can be absolutely sure at that point that they're eligible for 30 hours. But if they can't find it, they haven't seen it, they don't know, right now you have to reach out to us and we will tell you. Okay? All right. Posting tuition. So, I've been harping on this for a little while now, and we're going to start to get serious about this because we have families that are still enrolling in UPK that need to know what they're going to have to pay if they're enrolling or in a fuller extended day program and they're only eligible for 15 hours or they're only eligible for 30 hours, and it's one or the other. Okay. You must post your tuition on your profile, and it tells you here, right here, where it goes. And so you're going to go in the program portal and you're going to click edit profile. And then you're going to go down to financial programs and you're going to put it under additional payment options. And you can put in there what full tuition is for a preschool child. And then you can put in there what it would be if it's what the tuition is if the family is only eligible for 15 hours and what the tuition is if the family is eligible for 30 hours. Okay. You don't need to upload your tuition scale or anything of that sort. There's no place to do that. So just hand type it in there. I will tell you that we're going to start to get really, really, really serious about this. And I'm going to start going through profiles and contacting people who do not have this up. So please get it up. We're going to move on to quality standards for we sent this out in the email yesterday, I think it was. So in your provider agreement, you agree to provide the state with reports or data that they request from you. This comes under the heading of that. I did ask if this was mandatory, and the I just got that answer is that providers have committed to provide the information that the state requests. So I would suggest that this is something that you should do. Do I think anybody is going to chase you down if you don't do it? I doubt it, but you should still do it anyway. The purpose of this really is to make sure that they have information in terms of where you are right now as a provider, in terms of what you're doing with instructional practice, healthy development, and family and community engagement, so that the state can meet providers where they are, whether it's needing to back up and start from the beginning, or whether they can go further into and provide additional supports and not have to start from the beginning. So please go in and do this. As I said, this is up on JI's page, the links to this, and it's due by the 16th of September. And I would strongly suggest that you do it because it will help inform the direction that the state goes with quality standards. Okay, we're going to move on to everybody's favorite topic. And I'm going to explain this to you in terms of payment schedule. And I'm going to ask you for your forbearance. I did not make up these rules. I am explaining it to you to make sure that you understand it. No, they're not going to change. And yes, the state did some really crappy things when they did this. Okay. I'm admitting that right now, but nothing can change by whining to me. So please don't. The payment schedule for 2024-25 has been posted. It is on the JI site. The UPK is paying in arrears this year. So what they changed with this, that they certainly did not give providers enough notice to be able to plan for. No argument here, folks. So the August payments are being divided in two. Okay. So they did a prepayment for kiddos that were enrolled before August 1, and had an enrollment form done. So many of you may have enrolled kiddos through your continuity of care kiddos really early, and there was no enrollment form at that point. So even though they showed up as enrolled, they really weren't. And so they were not picked up as of August 1 because of those enrollment forms. Last week and early this week, I sent a list out to everybody who was in that situation, and everybody cleared their list. So we should all be good to go now. But that's the reason why you may have gotten paid for some kids and not others when your dashboard showed that everybody was enrolled. They originally said something about a blue dot, and then they changed it to a black dot, which confused people. But the bottom line is that that is the issue as to why you did not get paid on August 15th for children that you thought you had enrolled before August 1. Then in September, they are paying you for the rest of the kiddos for August. So you are not getting paid in September for children that you have already been paid for in August. There is no payment in September if you were paid for all of your kids in August. If they're divided, then you got some in August and you got some in September. But those payments are for August services. Then moving forward, supposedly the state will download a list of enrolled children on the last business day of the month. I would put in your calendar a couple of days before that, that you need to make sure that all of your children for that month are enrolled. Do not count on the last business day of the month because depending upon where it shows up, they may pull it earlier than the last business day of the month. So I'd say the 28th, 29th, I would put that tickler in your calendar and don't count on it being the last day of the month. But they will enroll, they will download the children enrolled, and then you will be paid the following month on the 15th. Okay. And then there will be two payments made in May, one on the 15th for April and one at the end of the month for May. So your August payments through the two payments in May equate to 10 months. So that's how they're doing it this year. Now it's different from last year. They did not give you enough time to plan. They actually put this out on July 31st, which is ridiculous. We all know that. We have told the state over and over again that that can never happen again. So I sympathize with you. I think it's incredibly difficult to plan for your business unless you have the information that you need. But that's what they did. We do not yet have guidance as to how payment for children who are enrolled in August and then move centers in August will be handled. So you may have been paid for a family that you enrolled prior to August 1 and you were paid August 15th, but then they unenrolled from you and went to another center. We have not heard how that is going to be handled, but I have some advice for you. Don't spend the money. I have no idea if they're going to come back and ask you for it back, so don't spend the money. Okay, reminder that we have lots up on the UPK page. If you don't have that bookmarked and aren't looking at that every couple of weeks at a minimum, you're missing out on valued information. There is also, of course, the state page and links and resources that are up there. We try to put those same links up on our page so that you only have to go to UPK, you only have to go to JI, but both are there as resources for you. All right, now we are going to stop and I'm going to ask you if you have any questions at all about what we talked about to begin with. You thought about it now and you are not sure what to do or anything else that may have come up.
I have a question.
Mhm.
This is Christine Walker at Miami Yoder School. I have some kids that showed up with the last payment as being eligible for 30 hours that I didn't know about. So do I now offer them those extra hours? I only have them enrolled in part-time because their application, as far as I could see, didn't show their eligibility for extra hours.
Okay, so you were actually paid the amount for 30 hours?
Okay.
I'm asking you, were you actually paid the amount for 30 hours?
Yes, I think so.
Well, then they have to be in a full day program in order for that to happen.
Okay.
And because you will not be paid for 30 hours if they're enrolled in a half day program or a part day program.
So my program is part day, full day. We can offer both in the one program. And we only, if they're eligible for the part-time, that's what they're in. If they're eligible for the full day, which I have some of those, that's what they're in. But then at the last payment, I looked and there was 3 kids, I think three to 5, I'll have to look. I don't have that information in front of me, that showed up as full day payment.
Okay.
Yes, they did show up as full day payment now that I'm thinking.
Okay, so if your full day is 30 hours,
Mm-hmm.
okay, and it's 30 hours and it's not more than that, then their full day has to be free. Okay? If their full day, if your full day is say like 40 hours, then you give them 30 hours free and you can charge for the 31 to 40.
So, okay. So now I have to rearrange some classroom seatings because those children showed up as full day. So, and there's nothing, I mean, I can't now offer them part-time because they're being paid for 30 hours, those 3 extra kids that I didn't know about. And I don't have, I mean, I have the seats, but like they're all in one day that I'm going to be over capacity.
Okay, so why don't you reach out to me and let's
Okay.
solve your problem one-on-one and see
Sounds
what
good.
we need to do to fix it.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, no worries. So how many kids still need UPK in Colorado Springs? Heather, can you answer that? Do you remember what those numbers look like?
Right now, with what we just got with unmatched, we just got an unmatched report from the state. Carla and I reached out to 400 families today that were still not matched. So that is what we are working on right now and reaching out to them. And we said, you know, we have open seats. This is where they're open. And we're pushing like by different regions and zip codes what the parent needs. But as of that report, it was saying that we had 402 unmatched children at this time.
Carol, hopefully that answers your question. Thank you, Heather. Sharon, can you talk about the new glitch on the enrollment forms and what we need to look for from the email that was sent out today? The only thing you need to know at this point is when you go to enroll a child, if you're ready to do that, you go to enroll a child and then you will get to the point where you have to answer the questions about CCAP and Head Start, right? And it won't let you go any further if you don't click them. So you need to click both of them and then unclick both of them, and it will let you go further. You can try to click one of them if it applies and unclick the other and see if it'll let you go further. But if it won't, just unclick both of them, and the state's going to have to fix it to make their data right. That's not our problem. So, because it's a data collection piece, nothing more than that. So, please, that's what you have to do. You have to click them first, and then you have to unclick them in order to be able to move forward. And there's nothing that's going to tell you that that's an issue. To the best of my knowledge, it's an issue with all enrollments at this point. But they are working on the glitch, so it may start to magically fix itself at some point.
Okay, so as long as I found the purple button under the forms and I had my kids enrolled, this should not affect me
No,
for my payment. Okay.
no, it's not going to unenroll any of your kids. It's just if you're enrolling a child, you may not be able to get past the Head Start and the CCAP without clicking and then unclicking.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. Sandra, Brad?
Good evening. How are you?
I'm good. How about you?
Well, I'm doing well. Got a
Okay.
question. The question I'm asking, you may not have the answer to. On the self-reporting, the last paragraph on all 3 of them on the introduction states that we have to make our policies and procedures public, either on the website or hand them out. And state also wants a copy of our policies and procedures. The question is, are we opening ourselves up to complete micromanagement by the state by issuing our policies and procedures to the state?
I have no idea why they have requested that, and I have no idea what they're going to do with them.
I would assume micromanagement.
I have no idea why they've requested that, and I have no idea what they're going to do with them.
Okay, I will reach out to those that I know and ask that question to them. I just thought I'd ask you.
Don't know. Love to hear the answer.
Okay.
Anybody else? Sandra, would you mind putting your hand down there so that I don't think you have another question? Thank you. Anyone else have other questions? Are you having specific problems that we need to hear about? Okay, some of you have reached out to me because you have open seats and you are very concerned about that. As you have already heard Heather say, Heather and Carla are going down the list of families who are unmatched. And based on what the family says that they need, then they are sending them to people who have open seats. We can see how many seats you have open. So we're not trying to send them someplace where there's no seats open. So pretty cat. I love cats. So we're working on it in terms of, you know, getting families to you, but you should all be out there continuing to, if you have open seats, you should all be out there continuing to do what you would do even if UPK didn't exist, how you would normally fill your spots. Also, make sure that your profiles are complete, and remember that you're selling yourself in UPK, so that when new families are coming into the community and they start looking for providers, that if you're in their zip code or the area that they're looking for, that your particular program jumps out at them. Everything except for the programs themselves and that program section, except for text box, are open. The text box are open, and but there is a portion within the programs that is fed by your setup form, and those you cannot change. But everything else is open.
I have another weird question.
Uh-huh.
So I had a tour coming through. So that child is matched already, is in a preschool, is not very happy there. Lots of tears. Mom thinks it's not a good fit. She came through here. She said, "Oh my God, I haven't even known about you, blah, blah, blah." And she wants absolutely a spot. So I told her, unfortunately, I am full. But because, you know, I have these uneven kids, self-pay kids, so I do have a one-day spot open. So now I wrote licensing, because sometimes they make this happen. If I could take in 2 days this child in, one day I have, and these 2 days I need to have then 12, 13. So over racial. Do UPK will have a problem with this? Or if license says yes, can I do that?
If licensing increases your license capacity by making an exception or a variance, UPK is not going to question it.
Okay. Okay, thanks.
Yep. Anyone else have any further questions? And Christine, if you have a few minutes to stay on afterwards, I'm going to try and work through your issues now.
Okay.
All right. And then you won't have to worry about it. We'll just take care of it.
Okay. I don't have I'm at home, so I don't have the exact names, but
Oh, all
we can
right.
probably
Well,
we can
okay.
probably work together. We'll see.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay, well, I just want to finish the evening by thanking you for Carol.
Yeah. Why aren't we advertising for UPK like on a local radio stations, something?
We go to outreach events where families are and hand out flyers and bring a computer to help them as necessary. But
Not
no,
families go to those things.
I don't believe that there's any advertising on radio or anything of that sort.
I think there should be.
So noted. We will express that to the state.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Any other thoughts? Okay. Well, thank you very much for being here this evening. I appreciate your commitment to UPK and to our community's kids and families. And, you know, as you try to use the features that are available to you, if you have problems with any of them, please reach out to us. And quite frankly, if you're in a situation where you just don't have time to figure it out, for now, please feel free to send them to us and we'll do what we can to help you. Okay? All right. Thank you so much. Have a good evening. Heather, if you want to make me stop the recording, please.